Tonight's broadcast is for the person who quietly assumes, I'll probably make it to 80, because that assumption is exactly how the most dangerous decline sneaks in, not with a dramatic collapse, but with small daily compromises that add up. The title of this episode says it bluntly, Why Most People Die Before 80, and here's the twist. Most people don't die from old age. They spend years losing function, losing strength, losing resilience, until one event flips their life after a fall, a stroke, a hospitalization, a fracture that never fully recovers. The villain isn't birthdays. The villain is the slow, invisible erosion you don't notice until it's loud.
All right, let's make this practical and slightly uncomfortable in the best way. If you're over 60, the goal isn't just more years. The goal is more usable years. Walking steady, thinking clearly, not needing someone to help you off the toilet, not turning one bad week into a permanent disability. That's why this video is built around 5 habits that quietly shorten life, because they quietly steal independence first. And yes, you'll recognize yourself in at least one. Here's the big reframe. Most old age deaths are actually a chain reaction. Small weakness leads to less movement. Less movement leads to more weakness. Blood pressure creeps up silently. Muscle shrinks silently. Social circle shrinks silently. Nutrition gets worse silently. Then, bam, one event happens and suddenly you're not recovering the way you used to. So, we're going to hit 5 habits, and for each one, I'll give you a simple do this instead action you can start this week. No biohacker nonsense, just survival math.
In the old radio dramas, danger always announced itself with thunder, but modern decline is quieter. It's a chair that becomes your headquarters, a blood pressure number you don't feel, a diet that becomes convenience, a calendar that goes empty, a body that stops being trained to do hard things. And the reason these habits are deadly is not because they feel dangerous, quite the opposite. They feel normal, comfortable, earned. The human brain is excellent at adapting to slow loss right up until it can't.
Habit number 1, the sitting decay. This one is sneaky because people will say, but I walk. Great, walking is fantastic. But if the rest of your day is a long, uninterrupted chair marathon, your body still gets the message. We don't need strength. We don't need balance. We don't need circulation to work under stress. Here's the trap. Sitting doesn't hurt. It doesn't feel like a bad decision, it feels like rest. But in older adults, long sedentary time is linked with higher risk of bad outcomes, including cognitive decline patterns. And the real-world consequence everyone understands is falls, because weakness and poor balance don't announce themselves until the day they do. So what do you do instead? You don't need to become an athlete, you need to become interruptible. Break up sitting like it's poison, because after 60 it kind of is. Stand up regularly, walk around the house. Do a few slow chair stands. March in place while the coffee brews. The goal is simple. Less sitting, more frequent movement. Think of it as paying your body rent throughout the day.
Picture the body as a country road in winter. If cars stop using it, snow piles up quietly. At first, you can still drive. Then one day you try and the road is gone. Movement keeps the roads open. Not just the exercise roads, but the tiny roads, ankle strength, hip stability, reaction time, the reflexes that catch you when you trip. The chair doesn't steal years directly. It steals the systems that save you when life throws a surprise.
Quick pattern interrupt. Movement alone won't save you if you're ignoring the most dangerous invisible number. Habit number 2, ignoring blood pressure. This is the classic older adult trap. I feel fine. Hypertension loves that sentence. High blood pressure can damage vessels and organs quietly for years. And then the first symptom is a heart attack, stroke, heart failure, or kidney decline. That's why it's often described as a silent killer. Here's what I want you to do. Stop treating blood pressure like a random clinic event. Treat it like a home skill. Sit down, rest quietly, arms supported, feet flat, no talking. Take 2 readings, about a minute apart, and write them down. Do it on multiple days, not once in a panic. Trends matter more than one emotional moment. And if you're thinking, but I'm older, does treating it still matter? Yes. Risk reduction doesn't evaporate just because you have more birthdays. The payoff is huge because the catastrophe you're trying to avoid isn't a diagnosis. It's losing your ability to function.
In the radio newsreels of the last century, a stroke was described like a lightning strike. But medicine learned something sobering. It's often the final scene of a long, silent story. Pressure day after day, working like water against rock. And time, dear listener, time is brutal in emergencies. The body doesn't pause the damage while you debate whether it's serious. That's why wise people prepare before the crisis, not during it.
Mini emergency module, because this can save a life. If you suspect a stroke, Don't negotiate. Use the simple clues: face drooping, arm weakness, speech trouble, then it's time to call emergency services immediately. Treatment windows matter. Waiting to see if it passes is how minor damage becomes permanent disability. Now, blood pressure panic. If a home reading is extremely high and the person has symptoms like chest pain, shortness of breath, weakness, vision changes, or trouble speaking, treat it as an emergency. If it's very high but there are no severe symptoms, don't improvise, contact a medical professional promptly. The point isn't to scare you. The point is to stop people from gambling with their brain, heart, and kidneys because they don't want to bother anyone. Okay, back to the slow killers. Habit number 3 is where a lot of healthy older adults accidentally sabotage themselves.
If the chair is the quiet thief of motion, food is the quiet architect of weakness. In earlier generations, meals were physical labor, cooking, carrying, chewing, digesting real ingredients. Today, convenience arrives in bright packages, soft, sweet, easy, and it whispers, "This is harmless. This is normal." But the body, especially after 60, does not forgive nutritional neglect the way it once did.
Habit number 3, eating like you're 40. This doesn't mean you need a perfect diet. It means your body changes, and if your habits don't change with it, you drift into frailty without noticing. 2 big mistakes show up all the time. First, older adults accidentally go low protein. Breakfast becomes toast, coffee, maybe a little fruit. Lunch is light. Dinner is smaller. Then they wonder why their legs feel weak and their recovery is slower. Aging muscles are less responsive to tiny protein doses, so a little bit often isn't enough to maintain function. Second, the slide into ultra-processed convenience becomes a daily default. Not because people are lazy, because it's easy, it's affordable, it's soft, and it tastes good. But it's not built to protect muscle, metabolism, and long-term resilience. What do you do instead? The simplest move: add a protein anchor to each meal. Eggs, Greek yogurt, fish, poultry, beans, tofu, whatever fits your life. And pick one ultra-processed item you eat daily and replace it with something closer to real food. Don't overhaul everything. Just stop the drift.
There is a cruel illusion in aging. You can feel fine while slowly becoming fragile. The pantry looks normal. The plate looks normal. The scale might even look normal. But under the surface, the body is negotiating with scarcity, less muscle, less reserve, less capacity to bounce back. In youth, the body survives insults with swagger. In older age, it survives with a ledger, and that ledger keeps careful record.
Habit number 4, social isolation. And yes, this is a health topic, not a feelings-only topic. Let's separate 2 things. Being alone can be peaceful, but chronic isolation and loneliness are different. They're linked with higher risk of bad health outcomes and higher mortality risk in large evidence summaries. And here's the practical reason it matters. Isolation removes your early warning system. If you're isolated, nobody notices you're walking slower. Nobody notices your memory slipping. Nobody checks on you after a storm, after a fall, after a week of "I'll stay home." And when something goes wrong, you delay care because you don't want to bother anyone. So what do? Make connections structured, not emotional. Put it on the calendar like a prescription. One weekly commitment you do no matter what. A walking buddy, a community group, volunteering, a class, a standing coffee with someone. The goal isn't having a huge friend group. The goal is not disappearing quietly. After 60, social connection is not a luxury. It's a protective system.
Loneliness is often portrayed as sadness, but it behaves like exposure, like living in a cold house. You can endure it for a while until the body begins paying the price. The older the listener, the more dangerous invisibility becomes. Not just invisible symptoms, but an invisible person. And in the grand arithmetic of survival, being seen is a form of safety.
Habit number 5, refusing resistance training. This is the one people argue with. I walk my joints. I'm too old. Weights are dangerous. Here's the truth. Strength training is not bodybuilding. It's maintaining the hardware that keeps you independent. Major guidelines for older adults include muscle strengthening and balance work for a reason. Strength supports blood sugar control, supports stability, supports getting up from a chair, supports catching yourself when you stumble. And the catastrophic cascade is painfully predictable. Weakness leads to falls, falls lead to fractures, fractures lead to hospitalization, hospitalization leads to rapid deconditioning. Then, independence collapses. This is why a hip fracture is feared. It's not a broken bone, it's often the start of a decline spiral. So how do you start safely? 2 non-consecutive days a week. Simple moves. Sit to stands holding a counter, wall push-ups, band rows, step-ups, holding a rail. Add balance practice near support, progress slowly. You're not training to impress anyone. You're training to stay out of the before and after story.
In the mythology of modern life, the old are told to be careful, always careful. But nature is not impressed by caution. It rewards preparedness. Strength is not arrogance, it is readiness. And readiness is what turns a stumble into a recovery instead of a tragedy. The body does not ask your age before it tests you. It tests you when you're carrying groceries, stepping off a curb, waking at night, slipping on water you didn't see.
Let's lock this in with rapid-fire myths, because myths are how these habits survive. Myth: if I feel fine, my blood pressure is fine. Truth: blood pressure can be dangerous without symptoms, so you measure it and track trends. Myth: walking is enough. Truth: walking is great, but strength and balance work are the insurance policy against falls and frailty. Myth: protein is for young people. Truth: older adults often need a deliberate protein plan to maintain muscle and function. Myth: loneliness is just emotional. Truth: social disconnection correlates with worse outcomes and removes your safety net. Myth: it's too late. Truth: the body adapts at every age, just with smarter progression. Now the retention punchline: you don't need to fix your entire life. You need to stop doing the 5 things that quietly break it. Break up sitting, know your blood pressure, eat for muscle, schedule connection, train strength and balance. After 60, that combo is not wellness. It's survival strategy.
And so we close tonight's broadcast with a final line worth repeating. Aging is inevitable, but decline is negotiable. The road to 80 is not blocked by fate alone. It is shaped by habits that feel harmless until they are catastrophic. Stand up before the chair claims you. Measure the silent number before it writes your ending. Feed the body before it runs out of reserve. Stay connected before you become invisible. Build strength before you are forced to borrow it. Because the goal is not merely to live longer, but to remain yourself while you do